What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video. I'm Andrew, the Zaggy, here at Nexus Jiu-Jitsu in Folsom. July 4th, coming up. America, represent. We're gonna go to the rodeo here in Folsom. Can't wait, got a cowboy hat, cowboy boots, ready to go. All right, today we're gonna kind of redo a video that I did a long time ago, about a year plus ago, with Skylar. It was a long time ago. So I want to kind of redo it, revamp it, add in a few little things. Better audio. It's going to be back attacks. Okay, we're going to be looking at back attacks, straight jacket system, and looking at the other options that we can get into. When it comes to the back, and I've said this many times throughout the course of all the videos, when it comes to back control, for a long time there was this thought process that there's a strong side and a weak side, that there's a power side and a weak side. And it was always considered that you want to get onto the overhook side so you can do your rear chokes and different options. And the underhook side was considered the weak side because it facilitates an escape route. If you're getting choked, like if my right arm's strangling somebody, if they turn and look to my left and they look away from the strangle arm elbow, it actually strangles them worse. It gets tighter. Whereas if you look towards the strangle arm shoulder and rotate towards the strangle arm shoulder while you're getting strangled, it actually loosens and lax out the stranglehold. So when we're on the overhook side, if I'm able to get that rear choke, your process of escape is probably to try to beat the bottom hook and get your back on the mat. You're going to be turning away from the choking arm, thus strangling yourself worse. Whereas if we go to the underhook side and I throw in a top side strangle arm and I start trying to strangle you and you beat the bottom hook and get your back on the mat, you're turning towards the strangle arm shoulder, thus releasing the strangle tension. That's all true, right? But there are so many factors that go into it, especially now that technique has gotten so much better than 30 years ago, that's just not the case anymore. All it is underhook side and overhook side. We have some decent options on the overhook side, and a bunch of very, very, very good options on the underhook side. I prefer the underhook side both for escape processes if I have my back taken and for my offensive attacks if I have somebody's back. So it's a funny little dynamic there, and there's just a couple of boxes that I have to check if I want to stay successful when I'm attacking somebody's back from the underhook side. So we're going to talk about all of that, why I prefer the underhook side because of the extra options and how we can maintain the control and get our finishes. So let's get right into it. All right, so again, what I was just talking about is generally we're going into like seatbelt control, right? We're playing something like this here. And when I have this type of control, I have an overhook and an underhook, right? One arm over, one arm under. Like I was saying before, the overhook side has always been considered the power side, and here's why. When you have somebody's back and you start going down and you're on your side, if you're at tournaments, if you're at training, whatever, what you'll hear most coaches saying in the world of jiu-jitsu, especially sport jiu-jitsu, is get your back to the mat, get your back to the mat, back to the mat. So if she takes her back to the mat, how can I be on her back, right? So she's escaping the back, she's beating the bottom hook, right? And now even if you come back, if I have this top side strangle, and she gets her back to the mat, there's no strangle there anymore, right? Whereas if we're on the overhook side and I have this strangle and she starts taking her back to the mat, it tightens it, right? So there's that funny little little old school thought process there that has some merit. But again, if I check off a couple boxes from the underhook side, that's not going to happen so easily. And on top of that, from the overhook side, you only have the option of the rear choke. There aren't really good armbar entries and rear triangle entries and other submission entry potential from the overhook side, but you have all of those from the underhook side. Okay, so when we're here and I'm playing my control and we're going to go to the underhook side, rule number one, box number one, I have to keep my head between their head and the mat. If they can't get their head to the mat, it's going to be very hard for them to get their back to the mat. But sometimes if I can keep their head off the mat, they can still get their back to the mat, very rarely though. But if they can get their head to the mat, they will always be able to get their back to the mat. So when we go here to the underhook side, it's very, very important that I make sure that my head stays between her head to the mat. I cannot allow it. One easy way to think about it is that my chin rests on the shoulder, right? If we're here and she takes her head to the mat, she's gonna get her back to the mat and I'm gonna lose the position. It's like a guarantee. So I need to make sure that I have a good connection here with my head, not allowing their head to get to the mat. Another little box I like to check is I want to get into a long hook scenario. From this type of two hooks position, it's not that hard for her to straighten her right leg and my hooks start kind of coming out and then she can start beating it and doing escape processes. So what I like to do is I'll take the top hook out, hook that leg, that hamstring, kick it over and do a long hook. And I'll start playing here, post control, body triangles, other options, where now I have a long hook across the hips. It's gonna make it a lot harder for them to escape their hips out and get their back on the mat, okay? All right, so again, we get to the underhook side, I manage head position properly, I start working in that long hook. We're playing in these types of scenarios. You can play your body triangles, whatever seems right for you. Sometimes I'll even play hip clamps, high ball rides, things of that nature. Now, when I want to start getting into my attack, again, there's two defensive tools here. She has one hand, but she also has her chin. So if we're in this 2 versus 2, or really 3 versus 2, it's very hard to win this battle. So when I have my hands connected in this seatbelt, what you can almost always bet is that they'll have two defensive hands in place. Okay, kind of like this, either a one-on-one or a two-on-one, situations like that. The way I'm going to go into my straitjacket system is I roll my primary choking hand, grab their wrist, and then I reach with my secondary. I don't roll my secondary because then I end up here and it's trapped. My arms are crossed. I just want to reach with my secondary and now I can go into the straitjacket position. Okay, now that we're in straitjacket, it's rather easy to start bringing my legs into the fight and taking away their tools. So again, we're here, we're in two hooks, underhook side, right? I want to start winning the long hook battle. So I look to do this, turn her, make sure I'm getting this long hook. Maybe I go into body triangles, and now I know I have the hips under control. I know I have the shoulders under control because I have proper head position. And now here, I'm going to roll my primary hand, reach with secondary, and I extend them out. Another good thing about the head position here is if my head is in the proper position, my shoulder will be close to her shoulder, which makes this arm much longer. So if you're not flexible like I am, and if your shoulder's shallow, you're never going to reach this arm. If you're not flexible, like I can because I'm very flexible. But if I have my shoulder very close to her shoulder, look how much longer this arm gets. So the head position is important for that reason as well. So now if you're not very flexible, you reach far, you can still get these traps. Okay, so again, we're here, seatbelt, two hooks, she has defensive hands in place, right? I'm going long hook, either playing post control or body triangle. I'm rolling primary, reaching with secondary, extending out. Now I'm going to look to touch left heel to right wrist. So now I can trap her wrist to her body. And here I cross my feet. Make sure you're crossing your feet in their hip pocket, not between their legs. If you cross between their legs, they can do that shitty little foot lock that is very embarrassing to get caught in. You want to take If it's my left heel that's catching their arm, so my top leg, I'm gonna pin my heel right into the hip pocket, and it shouldn't be comfortable for them. And then I cross my bottom leg over the top. That's important. Here, if she tries to pull her arm out, never, ever, ever, ever. But if I cross the other way, she tries to pull her arm out, it's pretty easy. Okay, so make sure your top leg is on the bottom of the cross. We're here. Now we're in this position. Okay, what I'm gonna do now is feed her secondary hand to my secondary hand, grabbing along the knuckle line. Don't grab the wrist because they can still grab. If I grab the knuckle line, grab me. She can't grab me now. So now I pin her wrist to her body, and here's my chloroforms, my one-arm strangles, etc. When you go for the one-arm strangle, I usually start with a chloroform. A lot of times I finish people there. I get a lot of taps here. I've made videos about that in the past. I go chloroform, get my tap. But what people will do is get frantic with their face. Boom, boom, boom. There's my grip. Now, when you go for the one-arm strangle, make sure you're grabbing the back of their shoulder and putting your chin on your hand. When you put your chin on your hand, you reinforce it, and now I can really pull. If we're sweaty, no gi here, it's going to slide off. When I go here and put my chin on my hand, I can pull, and there's my strong strangle. So again, we're here. We're in 2 hooks and a seatbelt. I roll primary, reach with secondary, working my long hook or my body triangle, playing into my straight jacket, passing off the one-on-one, core form, rear choke, reinforce, finish. Now, a lot of times when you get here, there's really good, really tough guys, and they're just hard to finish. They might drop that chin. I might not be able to get my chloroform going. It's just a difficult position. Now, if we were on the overhook side and I couldn't get this rear choke, that's it. I just got to keep chasing the rear choke. But for the underhook side, I have some options, okay? When I can't get the neck with my arms, I'm gonna bring my legs higher. What I wanna do is get my left leg over this left shoulder. So what I'm gonna look to do initially, if I'm gonna go for the arm bar, I'm gonna go into a Kimura grip, right? And I'm gonna look to beat their head real quick. Right now, I have a gift wrap. I have her head involved. I wanna take her head out of the lock. So I'm gonna start pushing her down, bring my elbow over the head, and now I can push her head away using my elbows. Yeah, this is generally not going to be very comfortable for them. And if you're me, and I'm a real prick, I'm going to be putting my elbow right in the temple, right in the eye socket, right against the cheekbone. I'm going to be doing this kind of stuff. Pressing, 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 because I'm an asshole and I want it to hurt. You should be too. Jiu-jitsu should hurt. And your teammates should also do that to you. It's just part of the game. It's fun. So I'm pushing them away, and I'm going to climb my leg up over the shoulder. Boom, climbing up high. Now I'm higher up her body. It's a lot easier for me to go into my arm bars and all my locks because my hips are up towards the shoulder line. So from here, what I like to do, because again, I'm an asshole, I'll pull their head to me with my knee and press my elbow into them just to make it even worse, right? Now, usually people here, when they notice you're going to go for arm bars, as you start going for it, they'll connect their hands. From right here, she might not, but when she starts feeling my leg come over, most likely she will. So I'm gonna push her away, throw this leg over the head. As I bring this leg over, a lot of people connect their hands here, right? So now I'm in this kind of like middle ground. When I get here, I'm gonna slam their head off the mat like a basketball with my leg. And that's gonna pick me right up. I don't wanna try to finish this laying on my back, all right? I'll show you what I mean. When I go to press my leg down towards the mat, it's not my foot that's gonna hit the mat because her head's not connected to my foot. Her head's on my hamstring. So I'm gonna try to slap my hamstring off the mat, right? So I go here, and it brings me right up above them, right? So now I have gravity, I have height, I have the ability to work this arm bar from a really good dominant position, right? And there's a lot of good things I can get into. So we land here, right? This is really dominant for me. Now I can go into slicers. I can go into arm separating sequences. I can go into these tight compressors, bicep slices, wrist locks. I can start playing different kinds of grip breaks, breaks here, breaks here. Ooh, that was good. Was that the elbow?
Yeah.
Breaks there, right? There's a lot of good things I can get into because I brought her down. I don't want to stay underneath her and try to separate the hands while I'm on my back, right? So let's look at that from a little different angle. So again, we're on the underhook side. I have good head position. I start working my long hook, maybe my body triangles. And now I roll primary, reach with secondary. Here's my straight jacket system started. We're in a good position. The choke's not there for some reason. I'm gonna go over and look to play Kimura grips, pushing them down with my elbows, with my legs, climbing up over the shoulder, getting my hips and legs high towards the head. Now I'm gonna push their head away and start bringing my leg over. As I do, they're probably gonna connect their hands so I can't straighten their arm. Now again, I don't wanna touch my foot to the mat. I wanna touch my hamstring to the mat. So I'm going like this, like straight leg, straight down, right? So we're here, I go straight down, look, brings me right up. And now I can play compressions. This is a really good lock I love to do. I can go into all sorts of really good attacks here that wouldn't be here on the overhook side, the power side. They're here because we're on the underhook side. All right, so really good sequence to get into. I suggest, if you're newer to this, get your hip side heel inside the pocket of the elbow, extend your leg, catch the wrist, shake it like a red nose, go back and break their arm off their body. So that's the arm bar from the straight jacket system. Now let's look at the back triangle. Okay? All right, so last little option we'll look at is the triangle from the back. So we're here, again, same idea, right? Getting my long hook, rolling primary, reaching secondary, getting into position for my straight jacket system. I'm trying to get all my stuff going. It's not there, okay? Again, I have a good one-on-one. This is a good start to the sequence. Her hands out of the fight. We're in a good spot. If this is MMA, I'm doing mean things. If it's not MMA, I'm still doing mean things, digging my thumb knuckle into stuff, covering the mouth, trying to get under, playing eagle fang, eagle eye. I'm doing all sorts of mean stuff. I'll probably be compressing this just to be mean, whatever, right? Now, again, if I want to do triangles and arm bars, I need my hip line up near their shoulder and neck line. Right now, my hips are kind of center of her back, okay? So I want to, again, push her down a little bit and climb my legs up the body. So I'm going to push down with my feet on their hips, push down on the shoulder, and climb up over the shoulder. And now that we're here, here's the big trick for the triangle from the back. The big trick is I want to get her forearm connected to my chest across my nipple line. That's the real trick. So what I look to do is I look to control the wrist, control the elbow, and pull this arm here. You guys see that? How her forearm is straight across my chest line, right? It's perpendicular with my spine. I don't want this. I don't want this. I don't want this. I want this. And there's a big reason for it, and I'll talk about it in a second. Once I get here, now it's actually really hard for her to connect her hands and be defensive in any way, right? She's in a really weakened state. I need to take her to the other side. My focus and goal is to touch my top knee to the mat over here, right? That's the main goal here. So in actuality, a lot of times I'll get taps right here as I do this. As I start bringing this knee across, you'll see there's a position here where I can put a lot of pressure on her pec, on her shoulder, and I can rip a lot of people's arms out right there, and I do, but that's not necessarily the goal. Let's talk about the actual triangle finish. So again, I bring them all the way over, keeping that forearm connected, and I touch this knee to the mat. Okay, let's switch the angle so you guys can see what's happening on this side. All right, so again, we're playing here. I've gotten to my straight jacket system. Boom, everything's looking good. I'm pushing everything down, climbing my legs up high, connecting their forearm to my chest, perpendicular to my spine, okay? And now again, I'm gonna bring everything over to this side. So I straighten my body, rotate my hips across, and touch my knee to the mat on this side. Now it's important, guys, that I keep this forearm connected because I want her to be relatively flat to the ceiling and floor, right? I want her chest and back to be mostly parallel with the ceiling and floor. I don't want her to go side on and get all the way on her left shoulder. So when I hold this forearm here, try to turn to your left, it's like really hard for her to turn. And that's important, okay? Because I want to have a little bit of an angle on her. Right now, I'm mostly on my left side. My body is a little perpendicular relative to the ceiling and floor, where hers is mostly parallel, and that's important. This knee's on the mat, right? And what that's gonna do, if you see this, is put my calf right into her neck cavity, and that's what's gonna cause the strangle, okay? So we're here in this lock. First thing I'm gonna do is lock an initial triangle. It's not gonna be great, but it's gonna lock everything in nice and tight. I'm gonna hold her wrist to my chest with now my bottom arm, and I'm gonna reach to my shin. This is where I can now adjust, foot on the mat, hip escape out, putting that calf deep in there. And now I lock in my full triangle, putting my foot behind her ribs here. Look, this is important. If it's here, she can take her left hand under my leg, catch it, and start unraveling. This is the best defensive structure she's gonna have. So when I go here, try to do that again, she can't get to it. And now here, I'm gonna pinch this knee to this knee, flex these toes. Very, very strong strangle. This is one of those strangles where the person in my position doesn't feel like you're doing much. The person here feels like they're gonna die, right? It's one of those funny ones that it's like, am I even strangling them? And they're passing out, right? So one more time from that angle. All right, so we're on the underhook side. I get my straight jacket system going. Everything's beautiful. Can't get the rear choke finish. Armbar's not really there. Pushing them down, climbing my legs up and over, catching that forearm, bringing everything over to this side, locking an initial triangle. This one probably won't finish them. Not very strong yet. Grab my shin, hip escape. Look, this here. Now I lock, putting my foot behind her ribs. Nice little pinch. And there it is. The cool thing about this position is once I lock this in, imagine I got it fully locked. Maybe they're not tapping, they're a freak. I have wrist lock here, boom. Wrist lock the other way, boom. I have Kimura, boom. I have Americana locks this way. I have arm bars in a lot of different directions. Best, certainly not least of them, just twist the arm. Look, just twist. Twist either way, just twist. Beautiful, beautiful submission, right? And last but not least, I can still chloroform. Oh, actually, last but not least, I grab the far elbow, pull it over my shin. Excellent lock. That's like 6 submissions all in one position, right? Too good, too good. Why would you ever go to the overhook side? Play the underhook side. All right, so there you have it. Again, this is a video I'm kind of remaking from the past. I'm adding in a little bit more detail, a little bit more options, understanding of the position. Again, I believe the underhook side is just more dominant. There's way more options. If you can't get the rear choke, man, there's a lot of other things we can do there, right? So let's start really refining our underhook side attacks and playing those straight jacket systems, and you're gonna benefit greatly. This video is the first one just for the subscribers, for the members. We're really grateful for you guys. Make sure you tell your people, tell your teammates, tell your friends about the channel, about us, about all the stuff you're learning. And I hope really hope it's benefiting you guys. I do get comments from some of you out there, man, this stuff is helping my game so much. And that, like, it's funny, like, gets me almost emotional. Like, I love it. It's because I've been doing this so long and I care so much about it. When some of you send me that stuff, it's like, this is worth it, man. It's finally getting beat up for 20 years is worth it. So I love hearing that stuff. But yeah, tell your people about it. Again, use these techniques, man. They work so well. Straight jacket system is just, it can't be beat, right? Again, I'm Andrew, this is Aggie. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. You already are subscribed if you're watching this video. So like it, throw some comments down there. If you want to see anything in the future, let me know and I will get to it, and we'll keep chipping away and having some fun. All right, go try it. Let's do it.